Alrighty, this is what I figure is the best way to communicate with you, Micah. To post a video like this on a public forum is not in my nature. I don't like to do it, but I hope that you forgive me. Because I've read stories before, like the story of a man who, his dad, went to school one day, and whenever he came back home, his dad was gone, and his mother told him that his dad just packed up and left. And all his life he grew up to hate his dad because his dad left and he never heard from him again. His dad walked out on the family and he hated his dad, rightly so, right? And anyways, the long story short is that after his mom died, he found a box, and the box was full of letters from his dad that he had been writing. He wrote his son every year on his birthday and at Christmas and at other times. And he had even gone so far as to, he sent him a graduation present, and he knew about the time that his son would be graduating. Long story short was that his dad hadn't walked out on his mom. His mom had an affair with another man in another town and decided she would rather be with that man, and had thrown her dad out, his dad out, and had denied him any access to his children. So I could write these things down in a letter to you, son, but I don't know whether or not it would make it to you. I suspect that Whitney would give you the letter, but I just don't know. So why take the chance, given the nature of women and how they are? Micah, you're probably going to grow up hating me. I don't care. You'll outgrow it. But what I do care about is that while you're growing up, you know, I'm supposed to, as your daddy, I'm supposed to give you some advice. And this is about the only way that I can think of to give you advice. And to hope that even if they disable my YouTube channel or ban this video, that there might be some enterprising folks out there who will make or download their own copies of this video and maybe put pictures to it or whatever. I don't care what they do with it, but maybe they'll upload it on their own channels or even other venues, and that hopefully in 10 or 15 or 20 years, whenever you come looking for this, it'll be there, you know. And like I said, if I wrote you a letter, I don't know if it would be there. So I wrote down a few thoughts of fatherly advice that I want to give you, son. I want to start off by telling you, son, that I love you, and I'm proud of you. You know, you're big, and you're cute, and you're strong, and you're smart, and man, I just love you. I used to keep you at night over the weekends and even sometimes on school nights, you know, and you used to keep me up all night long. You were a bad little baby. You had your nights and days mixed up. You used to like to go to sleep with George Jones on the YouTube, you know, playing, and we had a song, you had a song that would put you to sleep pretty quick every time, and it was the Sandman Lullaby by Enya, E-N-Y-A. It was kind of a girly band, but you liked it and it soothed you to sleep, and so I would put that on sometimes whenever you couldn't sleep, you know. I miss you, son. And maybe this video is the only way that I'm going to be able to have any part in your upbringing. So here goes, alright? This is my advice to you as your daddy, as your father. Pardon the awkward pauses, I'll be puffing a cigarette throughout. Alright, first of all, son, I want to tell you to grow up to be a man. I don't mean to tell you to grow up to be a man like your teachers who are all women, or your grandmother or your mother tells you to grow up to be a man. I want you to grow up to be a man's man. You're going to grow up to be a man, boy. You're not going to grow up to be a boy. You're not going to grow up to be a millennial man or whatever comes after us, Generation Z, whatever. You're not going to grow up to be one of these effeminate, useless, girly men who are emotional with their man buns and their neck beards. I don't want you to grow up to be a skater. I don't want you to grow up to be a loser. I want you to grow up to be a man. And here's what I mean. First and foremost, a man is a provider. That means that I want you to do all your life, whatever it takes, to make sure that whenever you're finished with your education, that you're going to be able to provide quickly for a woman and children. You are a provider, a breadwinner. And no matter how much feminist propaganda or whatever other propaganda there may be out there that says men can find meaning and fulfillment through anything else, the primary meaning and fulfillment in a man's life is to be an able and adequate provider. So you need wealth. I'm not talking fabulous wealth in the millions and billions of dollars. I don't want you to become some magnate or whatever, I just want you to have wealth. Because wealth buys the next most important thing to being a man, which is independence. You need to move out of your mother's house as early as you can. I don't mean to go live with friends, because when the blind lead the blind, they both fall into a ditch. I mean for you to live on your own, established as early as you can. Preferably in your early to mid-20s, you should be out living on your own. Maybe in a different city, maybe in a big city somewhere up north or out west or up in the northeast. I don't know, wherever your heart's desire is, but you need to have some wealth, which will help you to get some independence. Men are independent. We don't live with our parents till we're 30. That's not okay. It's never okay, unless there's a disability involved. Okay? So that means no degrees in underwater basket weaving, or women's studies, or gender studies, or whatever. That means I want you to get an education in a field that will provide you with the wealth that you need to provide and to obtain independence. That's the mark of a man. And if it's not to be through education, son, then it's going to be through a skill. If you believe that higher education and college and grad school and all that are not for you, then Micah, what I want you to do is early on in life, I'm talking your teenage years, probably your middle teenage years, you'll realize that you have a propensity for some kind of a skill. Focus on it. Hone it in. Develop it. You will not, boy, you will not be, if you have any sense, a goddamn, forgive my language, I'm sorry, but a goddamn gamer, okay? If you like computer games so much and you like to play these, whatever's out by the time you're 15 and it's electronic, then son, you need to learn the code behind it and the software behind it. And focus your skills and your time on mastering that just as much as you would focus your skill and times on playing the game, for instance. You need to develop a skill. If education is not going to be the way, either way, utilize it to build wealth and independence. And that brings me to the next point of being a man, son. By this point in life, whenever you hear this video, I imagine that you would have been out to the graveyard well enough to have seen that on most people's gravestones, there's the day they were born, and then there's a dash, and then there's the day that they died. Well, son, the day that they die and the day that they were born don't matter so much, okay? What matters is the dash. It's a little bit of a cliche that you hear in church sometimes, but it's true. Because after you've died, what are people going to remember you for, Micah? They're going to remember you for your honor, for one thing right there. I want you to be an honorable man, to walk upright in your life, to treat everybody that you meet, whether they're great or small, whether they're decent or they're scandalous people, whether they're good people or bad people, white or black, whatever they are, you should be an honorable man and be kind and compassionate and be an honorable man. I want you to have honor in your lives. And that brings me to the next point, which is I want you to have integrity. Don't ever let it be said of you that you're a liar or a cheat or a fraud. Don't you ever let that be said of you, son. To be a good men don't lie, good men don't cheat, good men don't steal. That's why I believe that most good men don't become lawyers or politicians. But maybe there's a couple good ones in those professions here and there, but that's besides the point. I want you to have integrity. Micah, when you look another man in the eye and you shake your hand and you make a deal, if you're in business, for example, There should be no need for a contract that's been signed and reviewed by a team of a dozen lawyers. Your word should be your worth. When you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. When you say you're going to do something by a certain time, have it done by that time. And don't ever cut corners and take shortcuts on the work that you do for other people. Your integrity is going to matter just as much as your honor. And it kind of feeds into each other back and forth. The next thing I want you to have, son, is decency. You're going to have been brought up by your mother and by the society around you in a very degenerate culture. I'm going to take a drag of my cigarette. Give me a second here. Look, son, you need some decency. And by decency, I mean that you need to look back to times before our own time to see what people thought was decent. You need decency. Dress decently. Have some decent hygiene. Have decent morals. Decent values. Don't be degenerate. Don't be modern just for the sake of being modern. For God's sake, Micah, don't you dare ever become one of these tattooed up, earring-pierced, androgynous, we don't know what the hell you are, blobs that walks around the mall or in the skate parks. That's not decent. Build up your character, which is the next point. When you die, what will people remember you for, Micah? They're going to remember you for your character. They're not going to remember you for your wealth or your fortune or your fame. They're going to remember you for your character. So as a man, you've got to have character. Character is what gets you through hard times. Character is what's going to be the thing that you can fall back on when everything else gets taken away from you. And I hope it never does, but if it does, you've got your character to fall back on. Okay? Character should have resiliency in a man. It should have a fight for what's right in a man. It should have a devotion to the other people in your life. Have character. All right, son. Leadership. Men are leaders, not followers. I do not want you to be a cog in another man's machine. I want you to lead the way in your own life. Whenever you become of an age to become a man, be a leader, not a follower. Don't follow trends. You know, that's one of the things about, I'm telling you this in 2016, bro. Look, we've got two whole subgroups of people right now. They're all about being so individual. Oh, we're individuals. We don't follow the norms, you know. You got the queers who dress like women and act like women and put on makeup, and they're transgendered and they want to go in everybody's bathrooms. And some of them aren't even transgendered, you know. They're just flaming queers. Well, that's who they are, you know. There's only just a couple million other people exactly like them. And the same thing goes for these neo-gothic, neo-emo type people, you know, that we have in 2016. The neckbeards, the millennial men who, you know, they want to be unique. And they want to, you know, I'm unique, I'm different than everybody else. And there's millions upon millions of people just like them. That's not men. Be yourself, son. Lead the way. Lead the way. Don't follow. Lead. Be masculine. Don't hide your natural state of being a man, and your opinions as a man, and your beliefs as a man, and your actions as a man. Don't hide them behind a smokescreen of femininity. There we go. I don't even know that's a word, but it'll work. Don't hide it behind a smokescreen of womanly behavior. Don't you ever act like a woman. That means keep your emotions in check, boy. That means you don't ever let your emotions control you. You control them. And that means, son, that you are also in control of your environment. Be masculine. When you walk into a room, you take charge of that room. I don't care if it's a room full of women or a room full of other men. You take charge. Your presence is there. Be masculine. That masculinity makes you a leader. So don't you buy into all the bullshit brainwashing that they're going to give you in your little K through 12 education there, and probably even worse on college campuses. It's not a crime to be a man. Be a man. Expect things of your wife and expect things of your children. And when they don't meet your expectations, you make damn good and well sure that they know it, son. You're a man. You're the leader. Be masculine. Be in charge. And the last point about being a man that I want to tell you, son, is that men are devoted to things that are bigger than themselves, or more important than themselves. A real man will never, ever think that he's the most important thing around. That's a weak man. If you forgive my language, I'm a Christian man. I don't normally use this language, Micah, but I got to get the point across. It's a pussy who thinks that he's the most important thing, and a jerkwad. What a pathetic loser bastard. No, son. Your family is your devotion. When you get a family, that's what you are devoted to. Your country is greater than you. Serve it. Honor it. Learn its principles. Learn its history. Love it. Your people. Your background. Who you are. Your family history. These are things greater than you. And most of all, Almighty God and the great, wonderful Christian faith. Devotion to things that are bigger than you is a hallmark of true manhood. And son, with that devotion comes a willingness and even a desire not just to provide, but also to protect. You should be willing as a man to protect your country by serving it in the armed forces, and even lay down your life for it and for the principles that it stands for: life, liberty, and equality before the law. And to your family, the same thing. Don't just provide for them, but be willing to protect them, to fight for them. So devotion to something greater than yourself. Now, the second thing I want to talk to you about is women. You're going to reach an age one of these days, 10, 12, 14 years from now, where all of a sudden it's like, dang, look at them, boy, they're looking good. Them little girls you used to hate, they were all nasty and they had cooties and everything, and all of a sudden, ooh, boy, they're looking good, you know? Well, that's natural, son. When the testosterone starts pulsing through your blood, you're going to have a natural, God-given desire to, I don't know what, I heard a preacher call it one time, the urge to merge. You're going to have a desire to be with women. Well, son, I'm going to tell you now about women. Give me a second. I'm going to light up a Joe right here, because I'm going to need it to talk to you about women, believe you me. Alright, son. Every man has a desire to be with a woman. Women are beautiful. They are the gift from God to be our helpmates. There's nothing that can make a man better than a good woman. But son, let me tell you right now that there's nothing that can destroy a man quicker than a bad woman. When you reach into your teenage years there, boy, you know, you're not going to be independent yet. You're not going to have independent wealth yet. But I want you to be careful. Because there is a way of doing things that women dictate now that ain't in your interest or in any man's interest. I don't want you, son, to recreationally date in high school. Okay? I want you instead to observe while you're in high school. Observe the behaviors of the girls who are dating the boys, and observe the behavior of the boys who are getting the dates with the girls. And what you'll observe very quickly is that it's all very much an immature thing. Okay, it's immaturity, because these people that are going to be your classmates are coming out of a background where their parents don't really give a shit about them. And they haven't bothered to teach them the wisdom. Because, I mean, let's be honest, by that time, their own parents wouldn't have been raised knowing wisdom of how men and women should interact at that age. They're just out there casually screwing each other, giving each other hand jobs, blow jobs, fingering each other, eating each other out, whatever. Doing their little sexual things, getting drunk at parties, getting high, getting stoned. And, you know, some of them get into relationships, and normally the relationship works something like this, because at your age, at that point in time, what you're going to see whenever you see a beautiful woman, you're going to be kind of flabbergasted like most boys are, you know. You're going to be kind of like, duh, duh, duh. You're going to think you just saw an angel or you know, a miracle sent down from heaven. You're going to want to put that woman, that young woman up there on a pedestal, but son, don't you ever do that. Because you do that once, you're going to get it in your head that that's what you should do. Instead, I want you, in high school, observe. All right, observe that dating scene, and if you observe it critically and long enough, it will disgust you and maybe lead you to consider the next point. And this is the main point that I want to make about women, son. You should always treat women in the exact same way that you would treat an exotic, deadly, venomous snake. We say, well, that's a horrible thing. I'm sure that by the time you hear this, you will have been so thoroughly brainwashed and indoctrinated by the women in your life, and that includes your teachers, that you might say this is misogynistic and this is chauvinistic. Well, who gives a damn? It's the truth. A woman is a snake in the grass, and a dangerous one and a venomous one, and you'd better know which end is her business in. American women, Micah, are degenerate. They don't have that moral decency built into them anymore because they're told by our society that they can have it all. They can have as much sex as they want with whomever they want, and damn the consequences, and damn anybody who wants to stand in their way. Well, they can do whatever they want until they decide that they're ready to settle down. Normally, throughout high school and in college, and maybe for a little while afterwards, they ride from man to man, from bed to bed. You know, they're serially monogamous, and they go from one long-term relationship to another long-term relationship. Some of the real sluts, they don't even bother with long-term relationships. They just hop on one man and then hop on another one the next night. You know, they're horrible. They look for validation. You see, a woman doesn't desire sex in the way that you would by that point. A woman desires sex as a means of validation of herself and of her looks, which are the most important thing to her, at least to a bad woman. And Micah, don't you think you're going to find better than that at church? The church women tend to be worse at that age. So son, I want you to treat a woman as a dangerous snake, because I've seen good men, better men than me, who devoted their lives to providing for and protecting and being devoted to a woman and their children, only to be abandoned by that woman and her children, but especially by that woman, because she didn't feel happy in the relationship. Oh, well, I'm just not happy. And then I've seen it play out on Facebook and social media, Micah. Some woman who's been married to a guy for 5 years, they got 2 kids together. She puts up on Facebook all of a sudden, you know, one week she's posting pictures of her and her husband and their family, and they're just the biggest happy family. The next week, all of a sudden, she posts a status that she's single. And a week after that, she posts another status, getting divorced. And then a week after that, she posts another status, and in a relationship with some other chump. And all her little girlfriends are commenting on her status the whole time, saying, wow, you know, good for you. You go, girl power. You deserve to be happy. Oh, so happy for you. They're stupid, Micah. They will cut off their own noses to spite their own faces. And I'll tell you something else about these dangerous snakes. They'll kill you. Maybe not outright with a gun or a knife, but they'll kill you on the inside. I've seen better men than me who've had their lives ripped out. I mean the light ripped right out of their eyes. I mean the heart ripped right out of their chests by unfaithful women who convince themselves that the only job that you're supposed to have as a man is to make them happy. Son, you don't have a job to make a woman happy. You got a job to make a woman protected and secure. You got a job of making sure that your woman is a lady. You don't have a job to make her happy. Her happiness is her own business. You do your end as a man and you let her find her happiness. And believe you me, if you're a masculine man, you're a man with wealth and independence, believe you me, son, she'll be happy enough. She ain't going to stray off the reservation. Whenever you become some stupid son of a gun, who tries to put her up on a pedestal all the time and give in to her every little whim and make her every little wish your command, you're going to lose her respect. Don't do that. See, son, you need to be in charge of that woman, just like in a dangerous snake. You see, snakes are vital for the ecosystem. Without them, things get out of whack. Same thing with women. We need them, right? Society needs them. We as men need them. But whenever they're let to be on their own, and there's no control put on them, they will go batshit and wreck the whole ecosystem. Well, that's exactly what's happening to our country right now. These damn feminists and regular good old girls from middle America, the slut culture and all this other crap, the hookup culture. Look, son, these venomous snakes are killing men left and right. Why, it wasn't even a good week before your mother decided to turn state's evidence on me. Not even a good week before that happened. There were a couple of female teachers at the school one day after school had let out, and they were crying in the hallway. All the kids were gone. They were crying and hugging each other, and I mean, one of them was crying so bad she was trembling. It was horrible. You could tell some tragedy had happened. I walked up to them. I said, "What in the world's going on?" And they told me that they had a friend of theirs, a mutual friend of theirs that they both knew, and he had recently gotten divorced, and he seemed happy, but he had just committed suicide. And I told them both there and then, I said, "Well, I'm very sorry for your loss, but I can promise you this much. He might have been seeming happy, but I can promise you he wasn't." Asked a couple of questions, and of course, sure enough, it was the divorce was because she wasn't happy, and they just mutually agreed it wasn't going to work. He put her up on the pedestal and made her every wish his command, and she lost respect for him, and I'll guarantee you she had one or two other cocks in her mouth and in other places before she was even finalized with the divorce from this guy who killed himself. Don't make yourself that kind of man. You be in charge. Treat them like the snakes that they are. They're dangerous. You have to have control or they will kill you, figuratively. How hard is it to get women, Micah? Keep yourself in decent shape, get some wealth, get some independence. They come to you. You don't have to go to them. I'll tell you that from experience. Get some wealth, some independence, and keep yourself in decent shape, son. And there's nothing else you need to do. Oh, and don't be a little beta bitch. Don't be a little effeminate idiot. Don't be one of those androgynous little things. Women, they lie to you. They'll tell you that they like an emotional man who's in connection with his emotions and he's sensitive. And then, please, they'll cheat on you. Son, keep yourself, like I said, all that part about what it means to be a man. You do that, and trust me, son, the women will come running. You say, well, all the girls I know say that they don't like that kind of a man. Yeah, they say that, but look who do they sleep with. Huh? You want women? Do what I told you earlier about being a man. They're drawn to power. They're drawn to influence. But remember this about women. They are takers, not providers. Women are always takers, not providers. This is by nature. This isn't a knock on women, son, but you need to know the truth because they're going to lie to you. They're going to tell you that lots of women are very successful in their careers. Well, that's true on the face of it, isn't it? But women are always going to be, relatively speaking, takers and not providers. What I mean by that, Micah, is this. Look, son. There are lots of female doctors and lawyers and successful professionals who make a lot of money. And there are lots, maybe hundreds of thousands of janitors in this country, maybe 1 million or more. Think about this. Many a male doctor has married his nurse. Many a male lawyer has married his secretary. But how many female pediatricians do you know who would marry an unmarried male janitor? How many female successful lawyers do you know who would marry that male janitor? You see, they're going to be takers, not providers. When a woman marries, she's going to marry some man who makes more money than she does because, figuratively speaking and relatively speaking, even if she is a wealthy and independent, successful woman on her own, she's not settling with some Joe Schmo, buddy. She's going to take more than she provides. I'll guarantee you that much. So, son, keep that in mind about those snakes. They are takers and not providers. You tame them or they're going to kill you. Alright? Don't put them up on a pedestal. Keep in mind, look, read the Bible. Familiarize yourself with what it says about women. There are hoary women, slutty women, women of ill repute. There are women who want to exercise power and authority over men. There are women who are just nefarious, evil women. You know, they're just manipulative, and they use their emotions and they use their sex to try to get whatever they want out of you. Don't play their game, son. You make them play yours. And it's not difficult to do, believe me. Wealth, independence, power, decent looks, you got it made. You choose them, they don't choose you. In school, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't earn high marks in school. Public education is so pathetically easy. I mean, unless you have a learning disability, I don't expect anything less than high marks in school from you. And I wouldn't accept anything less than high marks in school from you. Whatever, you know, you got to roll with the indoctrination. They're going to try to fill your head full of bullshit. Poetry doesn't matter, Micah. All right, learn it, but that shit doesn't matter. Algebra, screw it. It's like a fucking riddle that you never use again. Unless you're planning on going into some STEM field, in which case pay it a little bit more attention than otherwise. But look, son, most of your education is going to be bullshit. It's a waste of time designed to employ bureaucrats of the federal government, or of the state government, rather, and the local government. They don't give a shit about you. You shouldn't give a shit about them, but there's still no reason that you shouldn't make high marks, okay? As far as work is concerned, if you ain't working, then you ain't being a man. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't start working at a job whenever you're 14 or 15. I don't give a damn what the law says. Look, the law said I was too young to work. I caught the goddamn school bus to my job. I worked, and it brings me to the next thing, son. Whenever you're a teenager especially, you know, if your mom marries a guy and they want to give you things, if they have some money on their own, no. I want you to drive the vehicle that you earned. If you got a nice phone, I want you to have a nice phone that you worked for and you earned. Cutting grass, doing whatever, taking out old ladies' trash, painting houses over the summer. I don't give a damn what you have to. You should have the things that you earn. Because whenever you work for what you earn, then you're a man. Whenever you just receive gifts from your parents just because you share the same DNA that they have, then you're not a man, you're a bitch. So I don't expect that from you. I expect you to have what you earn. And then later in life, you should devote yourself to that job, to whatever your profession is, to the business you started, to the job that you have working for somebody else. I don't care. Devote yourself to it. Be on time. Be punctual. Be courteous. Be professional. And devote yourself to advancing in that career to where one day you're the boss. And the last thing, son, is the most important. And that's religion. My hope for you, Micah, is that you will find that militant religion, that militant type of Christianity, very zealous, very real, very powerful, okay? Not that namby-pamby Baptist bullcrap where they send you to Awana and then you're in Sunday school and then you go to some teenage youth group and then you become an apostate and you never ever heard from it at the church again. No, I mean the real church, the church eternal, the church triumphant, Mother Church, the Roman Catholic Church. I hope that that's what you turn to, son. The church that Jesus Christ himself established on the rock and gave Peter the keys of heaven and hell. I mean the church that he said that the gates of hell would never prevail against. I mean that church. And don't be dissuaded by these limp-wrist, namby-pamby priests that you see and all the women in the altar servers and all this other stuff. I mean a real Catholic church, a zealous Roman Catholic church. And look, son, fill your head with the wisdom of Mother Church. It's there. It's accessible. They don't really talk about it in most Catholic churches now. But you can find a few that do. Devote yourself to the church triumphant, the church militant, and have a manly faith in a manly God, the Christian God, the conquering God. Because, son, without true religion, every single thing that I've said for 30 minutes before this is just like it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, vanity of vanities. Everything under the sun is vanity. Son, you can work and build up a tremendous amount of wealth, and it can be gone overnight. You can have the most beautiful woman as your wife, And she can leave you and take the children. And believe me, son, the legal system is stacked completely against you because you have a penis. So don't think you're going to get a fair shake in court if she does that. You can build up a business empire and it can be taken from you. Drive a nice car, it can crash. Have a nice house, it can burn down. There's nothing in this life that's permanent. It's all vanity, Michael. So Micah, look, son, you're going to need something that's a little bit more eternal than what you can gain in this life, and that is true religion and undefiled. Micah, I want you to love your neighbors as yourself. I want you to turn the other cheek whenever you're wronged, but I want you to fight like a man for what you have and what you need to protect and provide for. Be wary of women. They will steal you blind. They will take your character from you. They will take your reputation from you. They will take your life right out of your eyes and make you wish you were dead. The Bible will tell you that. There's a very slim number of decent women left. I hope you find one. If you don't, you use them before they use you. And get rid of them before they get too close. But son, I hope it doesn't come down to that for you. I hope that you find young, good, pure Christian love. But if you don't, like I said, get some wealth, get good looks, and get some power, get some independence. They come running to you, boy. You know why? Because they want a piece of the pie that is yours. Don't give them anything. Just let them think that they'll have it. Treat them like the snakes they are. Have good, true religion. Pray God sends you a good Christian wife. But don't expect her just to materialize. You got to go out and find her. Be a part of the true church, the one church, the church triumphant, the church militant, the church established by Jesus Christ, the Roman Catholic Church. Should your persuasion persuade you to remain a Southern Baptist, then son, so be it. It's good too, but don't be a namby-pamby Southern Baptist. Be a hardcore, old-fashioned, hard-shelled Baptist, you know. Work hard. Be honorable. Have some masculinity and don't be ashamed of it. Do your best at school. Get high marks. Continue your education or develop a skill. Work for what you have and don't ever accept gifts that are inordinate. And son, remember this. Your daddy loves you. I love you, Micah. And I miss you. And I'm proud of you. You're a beautiful kid, Mike. And maybe God willing, one day you'll hear this somewhere, somehow. And, well, hell, half the shit you heard about me ain't true, boy. Maybe one day we can talk man to man. But I pray for you, and I hope everything turns out all right for you. Follow my advice. That's 30 years of living I'm giving you right there in 40 minutes. I think it'd be good advice for any son. Remember the most important thing, which is to be devoted to something bigger than yourself, your wife, your children, your country, your faith, your civilization, your heritage. I love you, son. God bless you. God keep you. God make his face to shine upon you. And hold you in the palm of his hands all the days of your life. I love you, son. Good night.